Welcome at the Park Hotel at the PowerShell Summit in Amsterdam. I'm together with Tobias Weltner.
That's right.
Okay. You're a German PowerShell MVP?
Yes, I'm Hanover based.
Hanover? Okay.
Hanover, where the CeBIT fair is.
See, have you ever been there?
In Hanover? Yes.
No, in CeBIT.
Oh yeah, I worked there for about 10 years every year.
You worked at CeBIT?
Yes, for Microsoft. That's basically how I got in touch with Microsoft at that time. I was doing presentations and product demonstrations and stuff like that. It was a fun time.
Okay. And what are you presenting at the PowerShell Summit this week?
Well, I have two sessions. The first session was yesterday about text parsing, and tomorrow it's going to be about the abstract syntax tree, which is basically powering my ISESteroids software, because it tells you exactly where in your PowerShell script is what. So where are my variables, what are my functions, and all these things. And once you know these things, of course you can create great editor extensions. Okay,
well, the ISESteroids product from you, that's also the reason why yesterday you almost had a standing ovation.
Thank you.
Even some Microsoft people were saying like, well, we just built this in the product, and Tobias is doing it also already. So you're quick on the money.
Well, I'm doing PowerShell like full time. I'm with a lot of companies doing trainings, being in projects, so I pretty much know what you need and where the pain points are. And that is, like, I like to automate. I'm a lazy person, so if I do things twice, I try to automate, and so the same principle applies for editing as well. So if I need to do the same stuff over and over again, I want it to be easier, which is why I came up with the ISESteroids.
Okay. Why not use an IDE?
You mean a separate application?
Like Sapien as a view.
Okay, well, the problem was, we're just doing an interview. Hi, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey Snover just walked in. Hello.
Are you recording?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, the primary difference... Oh, wait a minute. You can cut it out.
Oh, yeah, sure. I can edit it.
Well, well, the coffee is important. So there's nothing more important than a coffee in the morning. Anyway, one of the reasons was I was doing that before, like with PowerShell Plus, which was a separate application. But then people said, we cannot install things. We are at a company side, or we need to take what's there. And so it's a perfect situation where you have a out-of-the-box ISE, which is great. It's a very good, I love that as a foundation. It's fast, it's lightweight, and then you can simply add things on it, and you don't need to have any administrator privileges, you don't need to touch the machine. You can load it as a PowerShell module from your stick. So that's the basic idea behind it.
So, are you a developer or an IT pro?
Both.
So you're DevOps.
Hey.
ISESteroids is an awesome tool.
Wow.
Check it out.
You
It's
heard,
fantastic.
You heard it from the master.
Wow, thank you. I'm both, basically. I started with development. So basically how I started with VBScript at that time, then I went over to ASP.NET pages, and then finally I thought it sucks that I can't put my own ideas into reality. That was before PowerShell was there. So I needed to become a developer, and now I'm both, and I love it, because PowerShell really, the audience is 50% IT pro, 50% developers doing unit testing or whatever they do, and so I feel home at both places.
So talking about unit testing, are you thinking about integrating in tools like Pester or?
Well, currently I have a vision, I have a roadmap, and version 2 of ISESteroids is now at a point in the roadmap where all the stuff comes together that I want as an IT pro. But there is still a huge list of things that I want. So for example, in version 2 you have version control, so you have a personal version control system. It's not hooking into source control systems, because typically a PowerShell developer is a single team, and so it's a little bit set up differently. But eventually there will be all kinds of integration. In fact, when you look at the pretty printing functionality, it's an open architecture. So you can plug in your own pretty printing scripts if you want to adjust how it's doing that. And eventually I want to open it up as much as possible, but I have only 24 hours a day, so I can only go step by step by step.
So is ISESteroids currently enough to make it a full-time work? Or do you still have to be a consultant, or do you want to be a consultant
I
still?
want to be a consultant really, because consulting is my primary business right now, because I love it. And because I like the interaction with the folks on site. I want to see what the problems are, I want to get challenges, and then what I derive from that, that is what I, at nights in hotels, like when I'm sitting in my hotel room at nights and have nothing to do, then I'm adding that to my software. That's basically how it works.
So they give you also ideas?
Massive amounts of ideas. I thank you very much everyone who's sending feedback and suggestions. For example, maybe I want to show you one thing that was a suggestion about a month ago that I personally love. Here's a script that is fairly large. It has about, as you can see, when you open the script, it remembers collapse state and breakpoints. So these were things that I had in my script before I closed it, and ISESteroids persists these things. So when you open it up, it's still there.
So ISESteroids remembers it, and it's not stored in metadata or whatever?
It is stored in NTFS stream. So
Okay.
the moment you copy it to your USB stick, it's lost, which is by design. If you give it to a customer, you don't want this information to travel with it, simply for your dev environment. And so now, if you click here, you get an auxiliary toolbar, and here you have the script map. So let's like this. As you can see on the right side, I get a miniature version of my entire script. And the green part would be where I'm currently located. So if I scroll now, this thing scrolls and always gives me a clue where I am. So I can always sort of click to another situation, just another area of my script, and I can quickly jump there.
So are you integrating with Windows Magnifier in this, or have you written
No,
your
this is
own?
my own stuff.
Okay.
And hold on, different screen, let's see. Oh, because I'm at the top of that whole thing. And then I could, for example, simply open the split screen, and when I do this, I have this blue area up here, which would be the upper split screen, and the green area, that's the lower split screen. And now when I scroll down, you'll see on the right side how the blue thing approaches the green thing, and now I'm in the same area.
This is brilliant.
And now I'm sort of changing that. And this way it gives you a great way of navigating things, even if they're large scripts. And that's a ton of that stuff in there, so you can do all kinds of stuff.
So this is also what Jeffrey Snow was talking about, that ISE and even Windows Server Manager are just frameworks you can build on top of.
Yes,
So that's basically what you did.
that's basically what I did. And that's why it's called ISESteroids. It's not a separate application with all of its benefits. It's a plugin, like a module. And so it's working like real steroids. So it's sort of pumping up the muscles of ISE. ISE is still ISE, but it can do lots of things more.
And I've been working with version 1 for a little time.
Okay,
And I noticed that ISE, the power of ISE, is that it's fairly lightweight.
that's true.
But you still save that.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that was a primary approach. It took me a long time. I had to redesign my extension a couple times because I love this lightweightness, and I also love the unobtrusiveness. So that's why you can always hide things or show things. For example, here's this Twitter ticker thing. You don't need to see that all the time, but you can if you want to. If you want to know what's going on in the community, you can, while you code, have an eye on what's going on. And the lightweightness is an independence of script length. It doesn't matter whether your script is 300 lines, 3 lines, or 3,000 lines. Performance will always be the same because the extension only looks at the visible part and only processes that visible part. So when you scroll, it'll dynamically update the display and show all the different gadgets, but it won't do that for the entire script.
So wasn't that a performance issue because it's constantly, if you're scrolling, constantly updating?
Yeah, but it shows the power of Windows. Windows is very performance, well, it has a great performance if you do it right. And so that is no problem at all. Even if you think about it, and you can see it actually. This is a large script. So if I add one character, and maybe you don't see it on the camera, but if I add one character, oh, it's even too fast for that. When you add one character, the whole AST, the whole abstract syntax tree by PowerShell needs to be recalculated. In a large script, you can see that when it suddenly turns for a split second black because it cannot classify the tokens. And that is done each time you enter a character. So what I do is a piece of cake. I'm simply putting a little bit on top of it.
So all the stuff you have in ISESteroids, that analyzes the script.
Yes.
Most of it is done through the AST.
Yes, I'm having a talk about the AST tomorrow where I'm showing how you can access it, but that is the entry door to what you then can do. So it's not that by accessing the AST miraculously all these things happen. Mm-hmm. It's simply providing the information, and then it's up to you to do the most of it. Let me show you one thing here. For example, if I have a function, and what you also have in ISESteroids are snippets, so this now turns different color, which indicates you can type on, but when you are at this point, you can press tab and get insertion of snippets, and then let's put in a parameter block and put in one parameter like that. And I'm using it here, and I'm also and you see automatic indenting when I press enter.
Yeah.
And let's say PS bound parameters contains key. Let's say parameter 1.
It says contains.
Okay, contains key. Should be that. And let's also finally do one more thing. What's missing here? It's a German system, so it's there's another params. All right, and then do a clear variable parameter 1. What I'm trying to show you here is that variables, for example, can occur in different shapes, in different scopes. For example, when you look at this here, I have a parameter here, I have a variable which is the parameter, and then when I call that functionality, let's do that here one more time, we get something, then the variable turns into the parameter. The parameter, or the name of the variable, can be an argument to methods, it can be an argument to a commandlet. So when you wanted to refactor this and change the variable name, it's hard. And this variable up here would be a different one, it's a different scope. So you can ask the AST for variables, but that would not enable you to do a valid renaming, because to do that you would take the AST information and then would put in a whole lot of different additional logic to have something like this. If I go to that variable here and I press F2, all the relevant instances are highlighted. So this one is not highlighted, but they are, and they are even highlighted here.
So this is something that's been possible in Visual Studio for quite some time.
I know, but Visual Studio is a software, highly sophisticated software where you have a great team working on that software, and I'm sure they have burned some midnight oil to get that done. And here it's the same thing. So if I sort of try and change things, you will see while I type, it'll change it all over the place, but it's not changing it here, but it is also changing that parameter.
Only in the context of that certain...
Yes, it is trying. I can only say it's trying, but it's working well. It's trying to incorporate all the different things that you would have to think about when you rename your variable.
This is way cool.
Yeah, I'm using that a lot.
In ISE you have snippets that you can use, but those are more like larger amount of snippets. What you're doing here is using auto-completion to use snippets.
Yes.
Little bit by little bit.
Well, basically it's the same thing. So the same snippets that you can see in the ISE when you press Ctrl-J, these are the exact same things that I'm using, except that I also utilize the XML schema behind these snippets gives you a little bit more freedom. You can have keyword shortcuts. So if I assign a keyword shortcut to something, that looks like this. I can say FOR, that's for,
yeah,
and I have a for loop, because I assign this keyword to the snippet, and then down here in the status bar you can see if you wanted to edit it, simply click it, and this is your snippet editor. And the snippet editor is a full-blown editor. Here's the keyword for, and this is the scope. The scope is important too, because for, I want it only in the editor, and I want it only in the script block. Now see what happens. If I, for example, delete this again, remember, when I say for, I get this for loop, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I now do something like get process, my printer, it doesn't matter, get printer, and I again say for, oh, nothing happens.
For each.
Yeah, it should have for each. Let's see why it didn't come up with for each. It's still a work in progress. Let's go to the snippet editor, which is this icon here.
So if people have feedback, they can go to your website and
Yes,
provide it.
it's Power the Shell. It's not PowerShell.com. I started PowerShell.com, and I'm still receiving sometimes messages regarding ISESteroids directly to PowerShell.com. It's PowerTheShell.com, which is my blog. It's just here for each object. Let's check it out. So this is my for each object, and oh, it's FE. No, let's change that to FOR. That's better.
So what you've done here is the word you can use to autocomplete.
Exactly.
For. This is the snippet. But you've
Oh, yeah, it's a touchscreen.
it's touchscreen. Sorry.
So no problem.
But you've limited the scope to the pipeline.
Yes, and now let's check it out. When I do for like this, I get this snippet, right? So now I do get process, and I just changed the keyword to for again. So I have two snippets now with the keyword for. This time I say for, and now that may be really something that is still a mess, but it should.
I
Then
touched it, so probably messed it up.
yeah, probably your hand was, yeah.
Blame me.
Because no, let's see, where's my snippet editor? It's in the background. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so it still has for. It says pipeline editor console, so that should do it. Oh, just for the sake of this demo, I'm simply doing one thing now. I'm taking that again because I'm not really sure what I did or if I did something when you have the same keyword twice, how it resolves that. So let's just do it a little bit different. Take one that's not taken.
F-O-R-E.
Yes, like that. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, no, pipeline, F-O-R. One thing that you can immediately see is the for doesn't appear anymore because the for loop was not pipe. The
Was
scope
not scoped to the pipeline.
Right.
Yeah, correct.
Now I take for E, and there it is, and now I get this. So I can scope it so that the snippets will only appear when it makes sense. And I can, for example, if I wanted to go to the pipeline, and here's an external console, oh, this is a normal external console, what you see here is, when you click that, it is trying to take your script and execute it. It's not only opening a blank editor window or console window. In this case, this didn't make sense. You have here a new symbol that gives you an external console, like that. So when you have a dual screen environment, you can put it on the other screen, and then you have an editor on one and console on the other. And here, this is a different scope. That's the editor scope. So if I do a for here, it wouldn't autocomplete, not my snippet, just the normal stuff.
Yeah.
But if I do a for each, process, whatever. 5 years ago, when PowerShell 3 was going to be introduced, so it was still PowerShell 2 times, in Berlin at TechEd, Jeffrey was taking us to a secret room and to show us a couple of NDA things, and the OpenAST was one of these things. And back then he said, hey, that's going to be a very interesting thing for software vendors to do additional things. And as you know, Jeffrey is very visionary. So at that time, I didn't really understand. Well, I could see a little bit the scope, but I didn't know how to get to the AST, so I couldn't play with it. But in the past 1.5 years, I really embraced that idea and am trying to visually incorporate the AST where I can.
So you're building this project basically in your free time.
Yes.
And how long have you been working on it? So 1.5 years now.
Yes.
You've already accomplished this.
Yes. Well, the first version came out in March, and had a pretty large feature set. And this is now version 2, which is half a year later, and it has probably more than double the features. And when you look at my private visionary list of things that I want in it, you'll see there's lots more. Because, like you've seen yesterday, the wizard for PowerShell 5, experience-based parsing and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the premier things when you're talking about AST is really the open pretty printer system. So if you have something, if you didn't have time, so you sort of wrote down something that isn't beautiful, but well, it's right there, like that. And then you want to give it to a customer, or you want to try and make it pretty. Then you can simply go to the pretty printing system and just run all kinds of fixers over it. And these are, you'll see them, and then it'll all automatically correct this. It exchanges the aliases, it puts in positional parameters, and it expands shortened parameters. And basically what it's doing is going through all kinds of best practice scripts. And this is a fully extensible system, so these are scripts.
But this also corrects it.
Yes.
The script analyzer from Microsoft only shows you it's wrong.
Yeah, it's true. And for me, it's important to get results. Like, I don't have much time, so if I'm checking a script, I want it to be fixed. And it doesn't really help me that much to see what I did wrong if I don't get a clue what I can do better. So that was the objective behind of this. And when you look at this, for example, character operations. When you take code from a web page and you paste it into the editor, sometimes you get wrong characters, like wrong quotes or typographic hyphens and stuff like that. So that is why here is a fixer that is replacing things. And my glasses are sort of, let me just do this larger, you can read it. Okay, convert illegal characters, for example. So when you right-click this and open the script, it'll tell you first that you better not do it unless you know what you're doing. But then when you look at that script, it is simply, or what you can see here is that the comments are a little bit smaller, which is the reading mode. You can turn that off if you want to.
That's basically your code.
Yeah, that's my code, what you see here. But this is all it does. You have a Unicode and the replacement. And you have an ASCII code and the replacement. So it's very easy to extend this script. There are other scripts that are accessing the AST and doing things like curly braces, refactoring, and stuff like that. It's all open, so you can add your own scripts, you can adjust it if you want to.
You can also learn from it.
And you can learn from it, yes, of course, sure. And yeah, and you can also you can change the order. For example, if I move this up here, I could change the order in which this automatic system works. You should only do that if you know what you're doing. But then this enables you to create a custom company design guide so that any script in your company adheres to certain standards.
And I think I see that you can also enable, disable
That's true.
specific checks.
Not even that, not only that. You can enable and disable things, so if you don't like something, you simply disable it. But there are also some options. For example, if you go to script log, you'll see there's align braces, including one-liners, and align braces except one-liners, and they are mutually exclusive. So this is not checked, this is checked. So if I check this one will be unchecked, because there can only be one. And the result would be, let's assume I have two pieces of code. One would be hello, A equals hello, and one would be something like this. So if I check this and let it run, so as you can see, it goes through all these. So it
Automatically corrects it.
took both, and what it did was it automatically corrected, first of all, only the one-liner was expanded to a script log. It's only one piece of one simple atomar operation. When you then run it again, it'll automatically align the braces too. You can have rules, and you can even adjust them to the company standards, and you can say, in my company, a one-liner should always be like that, or braces should be always aligned in each column, or whatever you want. And then you could simply click this, and then you could have someone authorize it. That if this was a script, let's save it to test 99. And then you can, for example, close this, and once it's done, you have here the symbol which enables you to sign things, apply a new signature. So once it's approved, you could say, hey, I approve this with my code signing certificate. And then there's a signature block. You can see it's signed now, which is interesting because any script you load will automatically be analyzed. So you can immediately see if it's signed or not. And then if someone changes the structure, it'll automatically show someone had it signed, but and it's a valid signature, but someone has fiddled with it.
Yeah.
And now the interesting part is when I save this,
And it will say somebody has fiddled with it before execution.
that's true. You can configure that with the execution policy. And now I'm saving that, and it's signed again. It's just updated its signature, only because I was the person who signed it originally. If that was done by someone else, of course, the signature would not be updated. But so everything you want to do is right here. We can go on. That's it. So this is currently version 2. Is very stable. It has lots of features in it, but it's not 100% finished, which is why I'm currently having this preview, inviting everyone to test drive it and send me suggestions and bug reports via powershell.com. And the deal is, as long as I'm not 100% sure that it is like fully bug-free, you can still get the license for version 1 for this €99 thing, and will be automatically upgraded to the version 2 Enterprise, which will probably be double the price. There will be still a professional version at the same price, with the same feature set, but there will be, of course, this advanced version. So if you get it right now, you get about a 50% discount that way.
So what Jeffrey Snover always says, to ship is to choose.
Yeah.
You're consciously doing that. If you ship it, you are trusting it.
You're absolutely right, and Jeffrey's right too. To ship is to choose. So I already chose not to put in more features, but I did put in more features than I should have to ship it on time on October 1. Like the split view and the script map, all were things that I just had to put in because I wanted to have it. But there is tons of more and exciting stuff that I deliberately decided not to put in because otherwise it would have never been finished. And so that's the way it is right now. And maybe one more thing that is again a suggestion, but let me just show you that one more thing. Where's my test 99? I was talking about version control, and developers know things like source control systems, and they ask for integration, but a typical PowerShell developer doesn't work that way.
Yep.
You don't have a source control necessarily, except if you work for a large company, which is why here you can simply, let me just turn off the script map, and you have this version control which looks like that. So what I can do is I can create a new major version. Now I have a major version, version 1.
Do you integrate with TFS or GitHub?
This is a standalone system first.
Okay.
And I'll show you one thing how you can utilize it. I'm now putting it in auto mode. Auto mode means I don't have to worry about this. Once I change something and run it, it'll automatically, or in this case even twice, because it's interesting. Because it's when I saved it, it was creating a function, a snapshot, and then it was automatically resigning it, and that was another one.
Okay.
So I have to take care of that. But anyway, as you can see, you get different versions without you having to do much. And then, I'll do it one more time, and I'm going to turn off automatically signing.
So what I'm seeing there is you can compare versions, you can open a previous one, and you can delete one from the stack.
Exactly, now look at that. Okay, it's still resigning it. And now I say new major version. So I'm ready for a new major version. So what it now does is, this was my last major version, these were sub-versions. So I'm clicking that, and it's collapsing all the sub-versions to one new version. So I have version 1 and 2. And if I wanted to see the differences, all I need to do is click this, and I see exactly what changed. I see the change in signature. And
Is it collapsing or is it merging?
This is just a compare.
No, when it goes to a major version, does it collapse the previous one or actually merge it?
It is basically when you do a new major version, it's taking the last sub-version and declaring that as your new major version. So it's not consolidating anything.
Deleting all the previous subs. Okay.
Yeah, but it's just the natural way how you develop things. You put something in and more and more and more, so you have got subversions, but you can always go back if you do something wrong.
Yep.
And once you're confident, hey, that's it, you say new major version, and that's it. And basically what it does behind the scenes is, oh, I don't want to open it. Where did I store it? Let's open the location. Here's a new menu in the tab where you can simply say show in Explorer. And this is my test99 PS1, and as you can see, the history system works like this. You have a zip file that's called like your script, and that you can also use. It contains all your versions as scripts. And you can take that and put it in a safe place, or if you save your stuff in a SkyDrive, OneDrive, whatever, you have your whole versioning system with your scripts available wherever you go.
So as long as the ISE can open a script from any location,
Yes,
you can work with it.
exactly. You can
And
use
you
it.
have to have right permissions.
Yeah, but so in a company you could take a UNC share or UNC path or a file share, or if you're a consultant, if you travel a lot to companies, you simply take a OneDrive or whatever that you synchronize, and that's it. That's all you need. You don't need a database because the zip file is your database. The drawback is, of course, you could even work as a team on it, but it is not designed for a large team, so you can really check out things and log things.
Okay.
But it is designed for the typical PowerShell developer as I know it. I know him or her.
And you are one.
Yes, and I know exactly what I need. I want to have an insurance that when I work on something and I just add a tiny little thing, I don't want it to break and then me in a situation where I don't know what's wrong. I want to be able to go back and see the differences, and that is what I want.
So what you just shown us is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yes, there's much more in it. Lots of that stuff is stuff that I already forgot. One more thing, just to give you a clue what's in it, let's assume that you played with code. Let's say I have something like birthday equals 2009, December 12, something like that. And then let's say time span equals new time span, start birthday. And then let's say time span days, that would be age, you are age days old. Okay, so let's see if it works at all. Let's clear this. Here's a new keyboard shortcut, Control L. If you want to see all shortcuts, you can always go to Help and say Show Keyboard Shortcuts. These are all the shortcuts in ISE. And let's run it now. Okay, that works. Just imagine this was an important piece of code. And then you can select the whole thing, right-click the selection, and say refactor turn into function. And now you can create a function. Get
Automatic function creating.
Yes, and you say get age. And these are the variables inside of your code, and you check only those that should be a parameter, like that. And this is a function. With the help, with the parameter block, anything you want. So when I run this, I can simply say now get age, and here's the parameter, birthday, let's say 2012, 01, and you get back the result.
I see that now it creates a normal function, not an advanced function.
It's an advanced function. So if you wanted to, you could go here and say mandatory equals true, and then if you don't submit a birthday, it'll simply ask for it. There it is.
Like PowerShell always does. Yeah.
And now you can go one step further and say, hey, I have a function, that's great, but if I have a PowerShell here, I don't have that new command available, right? I don't have get birthday. It's not there.
Yeah.
So all you need to do is go back to your function, right-click the keyword function, and say export to module. Let's call the module Summit. Or you can take an existing module, export. That's it. And now I go back and say get age was the name. Oh, that was a bad idea. Age. There it is. So it's now available in all the PowerShell functionality because it is creating a module for you. And then finally, if you wanted to, you could take your original code.
This is something I will use very often.
Yeah, I'm using it all the time, basically, because I'm lazy. Let's just take this again. This is the original code. You remember the original code? Let's write it like this: birthday. Oh no, let's do it basically with this functionality. It's not bad. And simply rip off the function so that it becomes a script, right? Now it's a script with the same parameter. And now I'm going to Tools, and I'm saying Create Application. And now I can create an application, and I'm saying keep console open, okay. Use a custom icon. Let's use a custom icon. Let's go to Windows and search for icons. Because I don't have an icon. Icon. Okay, Amazon browser bar. Let's steal that. And no administrator, yeah, load from memory and create. Now I have to say where I want the application to be created. Let's put it on my desktop. Where's my desktop? There. And call it Azure. Okay, there we go. So on my desktop, I now should have an Azure somewhere. Azure. There it is. Oops, sorry. There it is.
With the Amazon logo.
With the logo, it's an exe now, and so when you run it, of course, you can enter your birthday. Let's say 1/1/2000, and you get back the age, and it says press any key because I checked keep the console open.
Yeah.
So when I press enter, it's coming in. So it's all integrated. All of these things that you typically want to do. You have code that you want to go to give to a help desk person where you think he's not able to run PowerShell. Simply wrap it as a exe.
Yeah.
Make it a function. Export it to a module.
And then they can use it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's still the tip of the iceberg. One
No,
more thing.
wait.
Last thing. Really short. Here's a help panel. So anything you click will be explained to you. You can simply click on it, and that is important for people that don't do PowerShell every day.
Sure.
Because lots of people can only do
the
it.
learning curve.
Yes, and then you go over the different parameters, you get the information about the parameters. You can even go to the examples, like this one, it turns blue, and when you click, it'll type it in for you. So you can very easily learn things. And that's the idea.
A very good last tip.
You want?
Well, my hour is almost over, so
Oh yeah, that's right.
thank you.
Thank you.
For showing.
It was a pleasure meeting you here.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure generally at the summit. It's good to come together physically because lots of people that I met here I know from internet, blogs, Twitter, but I never met them, and it's great to meet them.
So you also seen this? You heard Jeffrey Snover even. PowerShell.com. You may want to take a look.